Good afternoon, and thank you for joining for today's wildfire update. I'm Heather Fairbairn, and I'll be your moderator. Once again, we've assembled a cast of folks who will provide an update on the response. And as always, we thank them for taking the time to share what they know with Nova Scotians. Providing remarks today, we have Minister Tory Rushton, Minister of Natural Resources and Renewables for the province of Nova Scotia. We have Deputy Warden Jody Crook, Municipality of the District of Barrington. We have Warden Penny Smith from the Municipality of the District of Shelburne. Oh my heavens, I'm having a day. And we have Dave Rockwood, Public Information Officer for Shelburne. We have Matt Drover, Senior Director of Energy Delivery for Nova Scotia Power, and Erica Fleck, Director of Emergency Management with Halifax Regional Municipality. And finally, providing remarks, we have Jamie Young, Acting Fire Marshal for the province of Nova Scotia. Also joining us for the Q&A portion, we have Scott Burgess, Deputy in charge of the Shelburne event with the Office of the Fire Marshal, Dave Steeves, Public Information Officer for Tantallon with the Department of Natural Resources and Renewables, Scott Tingley, Manager of Forest Protection with the Department of Natural Resources and Renewables, Bob Robichaud, our resident warning preparedness meteorologist with Environment and Climate Change Canada, and Bill Lawlers, Atlantic Director of Government and Strategic Relations with the Canadian Red Cross. And finally, Scott Burgess. Oh, he's on the list twice. He's that important. So without further ado, allow me to welcome Minister of Natural Resources and Renewables, the Honourable Tory Rushton. Go ahead, Minister.
Thank you, Heather, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm here at the Command Center in Shelburne today, and I can tell you it's a very busy area today, with resources all coming together to fight the Barrington Lake fire. I want to thank everyone on the ground here and as well as the ground in Tantallon area, our incident command teams, and all of our Nova Scotia firefighters. I also want to thank everyone that has come out to help, firefighters, military, companies with heavy equipment, and the large amount of volunteers. And everyone who has helped the evacuees, the municipalities, the Red Cross, and the outpouring support of residents from the different areas and businesses and from the people across Nova Scotia. Everyone is cooperating to do what needs to be done to extinguish these fires and take care of everyone that is affected. The weather continues to help, and the firefighters are in good spirit here today. They're making a lot of progress. They're working hard on the Barrington Lake fire to get it under control. And they're working on the ground to fight it. We also have a helicopter in the air this afternoon to do aerial views, and this will help to do a better assessment of the current situations. And we should have more information to share with that tomorrow. We are seeing signs of progress. The Roseway Hospital reopening is one good sign. We are asking for your patience as we continue to work. I understand that everyone wants information about their homes and their properties, and I can tell you as a firefighter, I do understand some of the strain that is on you as families and friends. I want to assure you that everyone is working very hard and as hard as we can to get you the information as fast as we can. Given the size of the Barrington Lake fire, this will take a little bit of time. But we all know that the fire and the size that is going to cause structural damage. It's been difficult to get a handle on the extent of the damage due to the fire situation and size. While the rain has helped get us a better understanding, we don't have all that information yet. But I do want to honestly prepare everyone for the numbers of homes that we have lost. It's very difficult to say that we can estimate that there's about 60 homes in total and a total number of about 150 structures. When you add that to the Tantallon losses, this is a huge loss for our homes and for our province. And I am sincerely sorry for everyone that has lost their homes and belongings. But I want to reiterate that our province and our municipalities and our partners at the federal level are certainly here to help. And I want to assure you that we will have information as soon as we can. Please understand that this investigation needs to be done. And the fire marshal is here and can take a few questions about the investigation in a few minutes. The Office of the Fire Marshal is leading that investigation, and I look forward to their comments. On Highway 103, there's a coordinated effort amongst several provincial departments and the Office of the Fire Marshal and the local municipalities to make that situation safe. Safety is our priority with this highway. They will reopen that highway just as soon as they can. In Tantallon, crews are still working on hotspots, and people are gradually returning to their homes in a safe manner. Please follow the HRM directions for re-entry. They have information about cleaning out your fridge and etc. We also have important information about the drinking water on our alert page. This is important information for people on wells. The province will pay for the water testing for people on wells who are under the mandatory evacuation. Until you have clean test results, please do not drink that water. Drink your bottled water. We know there is a great demand for the testing kits and supplies, and they have run out in the HRM area. Environment and Climate Change is working hard to get supplies to the city for distribution at the fire station on the Hammonds Plains Road. They're also available at environment offices in Yarmouth and Bridgewater, and more locations will be added to the alert page shortly. Please stay tuned. You should only get a test kit if you need it, and only pick up that test kit when you are ready to use it, not in advance. Yesterday, we heard the Premier announce a financial relief program for small businesses affected by the wildfires. Grants of up to $2,500 are available for small businesses located in the mandatory evacuation zones. You can find the link for more information on the alert page, and I encourage all small businesses to reach out and apply. So many people have been reaching out and also asking, how can we help? One thing you can do to make a donation to the Red Cross. Every dollar of your donation is matched by the government of Nova Scotia and the federal government. This means each dollar you donate will equal out to $3 in support for the affected people in the wildfire area. Finally, I want to stress that we can all prevent the destruction and heartache that we have seen over the past 10 days. First, the burn ban does remain in effect. The rain we have had is helping, but it's not enough to lift the fire ban yet. Please don't burn. I cannot stress that enough. Our resources are getting tired, and we need to concentrate on extinguishing all these fires. Second, the ban on entering woods is still in effect in the Shelburne County and any evacuated area. Stay out of the woods, please, and stick to the open areas. And third, let's continue to be fire smart all the time, especially during our fire risk season between March and October. I appreciate everyone's cooperation as we go through these trying times for our province. We also have confidence that we will rise again. We're resilient, and the firefighters need our resilience and dedication so they can keep maintaining the high hopes out in the field where we need them to stay focused. We can take care of each other, and we will get through this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Rushton. Now I'd like to welcome Deputy Warden Jody Crook from the Municipality of the District of Barrington.
Thank you, Minister Rushton. The significant rainfall over the fire perimeter has been a massive help to the courageous firefighters working to get the Barrington fire under control. We have now seen 48 hours of no significant growth of this wildfire. And as we said yesterday, there was still work to be done and ground to cover. Yesterday afternoon, a mandatory evacuation order was lifted for 2794 Highway 3, that is from the St. Philip's Roman Catholic Church, Downey Brook area, up to and including 1225 Port Latour Road. That includes Reynolds Croft and part of Eel Bay and Blanche. This also includes Oak Park Road, River Road, Villagedale Road, Barrington, Smithville, Vaccaro. Residents from McGill Road and McGill Lake area of Upper Clyde Road to 2461 Upper Clyde Road can also return home. The roadblock at exit 30 on the Highway 103 remains in place. All other evacuation orders remain in place and must be followed. Wildfires can damage wells and impact drinking water. The province will be covering the cost of the well water test kits for those who were evacuated. The pickup locations for these kits are at the Yarmouth and Bridgewater Environmental and Climate Change Regional Offices, and we are working to set up local pickup and drop-off locations in our municipality. We thank the province for alleviating the financial burden for our community members to do so. The fire at the construction and demolition debris disposal site off Highway 103 is still burning, but continues to be addressed by firefighters. Updates will be provided once available. Highway 103 between exits 27 and exit 30 remains closed until crews can determine it's safe to reopen. Please call 511 for the latest information on road closures. Assessors are continuing to do the necessary work to confirm the status of property and infrastructure in the impacted areas. We anticipate while being communicating with property owners in the impacted areas this week. Property owners must not return to their space until confirmed it is safe to do so. The safety of our community members remains a top priority for the municipality of Barrington, and we want our community members to know that we and will continue to be behind you and our thoughts are with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Warden Crook. Now let's go to Warden Penny Smith with the Municipality of the District of Shelburne.
Thank you, Minister Rushton and Deputy Warden Crook. As well as the lifted evacuation orders shared by Deputy Warden Crook, the Municipality of Shelburne lifted mandatory evacuation orders for exit 27 at Birchtown along Highway 3 Shore Road to 1634 Shore Road, Gunning Cove. The roadblock at exit 27 on Highway 103 remains in place. Please follow the province's well water safety recommendations after a wildfire and take advantage of the free well water testing kits that are being offered to those who have been evacuated. Aerial survey of the wildfire will be conducted as soon as weather conditions permit. However, firefighters on the ground have deemed it safe for residents in the area above, outside of the fire perimeter, to return. We are also so pleased to share that as of today, June 6th, the Roseway Hospital and Shelburne County Community Health Center are reopened after patients and staff were evacuated on Wednesday, May 31st. Roseway Hospital Emergency Department will be open today, Tuesday, June 6th at 8 a.m. to Wednesday, June 7th at 4 p.m. and Thursday, June 8th at 8 a.m. for 24 hours. This new phase of the wildfire situation is being planned and supported by an incredible recovery task force from the province of Alberta. There are and will be many questions about Shelburne County's recovery for this wildfire. We are anticipating the opening of information centers and the distribution of information packages to impacted community members in the coming days that will guide our community through this recovery. I hope this will happen very soon. As the wildfire remains active and out of control, residents, even those who have returned home, should remain prepared to evacuate on short notice. This is again a reminder that the lifting of the province-wide ban on travel and activities in the woods does not apply to Shelburne County or evacuation areas. As for schools, Clarks Harbor Elementary, Evelyn Richardson Memorial School, and all Lockport schools will be reopening to students on Thursday, June 8th. All remaining schools in the Tri-County Regional Center for Education area will be closed up to and including Friday, June 9th. This has been a very stressful and even traumatizing time for many of our community members. There are many mental health supports available to the community, including mental health and addiction staff from Nova Scotia Health on site at the Shelburne and Barrington Comfort Centers. These comfort centers will also continue to remain open to support those who have been evacuated. Again, we are so grateful to the firefighters and first responders for their continued efforts to keep us safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Warden Smith. Now we'll go to Dave Rockwood, Public Information Officer for the Shelburne event. Please go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, good afternoon. We continue our operations down here. At this time, we're the area of the fire is still holding at 24,980 hectares. We were able to get a helicopter up this morning, started at some reconnaissance, and then unfortunately the weather set back in. So at the moment the aircraft's grounded, but as soon as we get an opportunity, the aircraft will be back in the air. Our crews continue to work, continue, walking through the woods and stomping ground and looking for hot spots. They are still finding numerous hot spots in there, and other crews we have working and doing reconnaissance in the air are reporting back to us too that they are still finding hot spots. So as of this afternoon, we have had probably about 95 millimeters of rain since last Friday. Not quite as much as everybody further to the east. And the rain is what we're noting down this way is that a lot of it hasn't really penetrated the ground that well. So we're getting a lot of runoff, which is going to affect firefighting, that's for sure. So the ground as it dries out gets harder, and it takes more time for it to penetrate. And at this point, we're getting a lot of runoff. So brooks and streams and lakes will definitely be filling up, but we're not confident at this point that it's penetrating down to cool everything in the ground. So that's why we're going to be sticking around this area for the foreseeable future until everything is safe for the residents to move back in.
Thanks for that, Dave. Thank you, Dave. As we start to focus our attention on re-entry, I'm happy to introduce Matt Drover, Senior Director of Energy Delivery for Nova Scotia Power. Go ahead, Matt.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. This has been a really difficult time for many Nova Scotians. We definitely recognize that. And for those who are able to go home and are no longer evacuated, we want to make that process as smooth and safe as possible, which means getting some important electrical safety information into our customers' hands. So over the last week and a half, we've been working very closely with the Department of National Resources and the fire command centers. And when it is safe to get people back into their homes, we're making any necessary repairs to our infrastructure. We're out assessing the damage that has occurred. Thankfully, there is not a lot of damage to our power equipment, but we are replacing some poles in some locations, as well as some power lines. We're making sure that everything is ready to connect customers' powers as soon as they're able to go home, and to do that as quickly as possible. It's important to note that in some cases, if your home's electrical equipment has been damaged by the fire, you will need to have work done by a certified electrician before we can come in and safely get your power back on. We're also working with the province and contractors to help streamline this process to make that as quick as possible. We have a re-entry electrical checklist, something for people to be aware of as they are re-entering their homes. And there are 3 things we recommend you do when you do get home. If you don't have power, we recommend that you first turn off or unplug any electrical appliances or equipment that were left on. This will help avoid any possibility of power surges when you're reconnected. Number 2, do your own visual inspection of your home and the electrical equipment running into your home, including your meter base, your meter mast, and wires. If your home itself or your electrical equipment was damaged by fire, you may need a certified electrician to make those repairs before our crews can restore your power. And if you do see a downed wire or something like that near your home, it's really important that you call that into our outage line as quickly as possible to report it. And then we will get somebody out there right away to make that safe and to make the repairs. Our outage line is 1-877-428-6004. If your power is already reconnected when you return home, it's still a good idea that you do a visual inspection of all your electrical equipment. We'll continue to work closely with the Department of National Resources to get into the affected areas if we haven't already, and make any repairs that we need to at that time. We appreciate the work that's happening with our partners, and thank you for the collaboration.
Really important information, Matt. Thank you. Now let's check in with Erica Fleck, Director of Emergency Management with the Halifax Regional Municipality. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you. First of all, thank you to our partners at DNRR. Obviously, we couldn't have done this without them. So they transitioned today and turned over the scene to HRM, which, you know, is a good news story, but I can't thank them enough for all their work. HRM still has approximately 4,100 residents that are still evacuated and will continue to be so for the next few days at least. So we are fully now in the recovery phase as we work through that with all of our provincial partners, Nova Scotia Power, and all of the other service providers. And just a quick note on the testing kits today. I know there's lots of feedback that, you know, we did run out. We're working very closely with Nova Scotia Environment to coordinate those efforts so that people can get them back with the labs that can take certain quantities. And we will continue to work with the province as we work through the next few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. And we'll conclude the final remarks portion with a few words from Jamie Young, our acting fire marshal for the province of Nova Scotia. Go ahead, Jamie.
Thank you and good afternoon. There are three things I'd like to speak to you about today. First, the Highway 103 reopening plan, current and ongoing investigations, and how we're supporting our municipal partners with their reentry plans. On the highway, the Department of Public Works, Justice, Natural Resources and Renewables, along with the Office of the Fire Marshal and the Nova Scotia Emergency Management Office, are finalizing a phased-in reopening plan for Highway 103 that is focused on safety, continuity, preservation of fire scenes, and the safe and managed reentry of all residents. I expect Public Works will have a detailed announcement soon. We needed time to erect jersey barriers, signage, and put in place other safety measures around the C&D site. A phased-in approach will support both the gradual and safe opening of the highway and our ongoing investigations on the ground. Our phased-in investigation plan will progress from each end of the exclusion zone through the Highway 103 corridor. As we move forward with the investigations, we can anticipate that we would be able to remove some of the closures and some of the 14 access point roads along the highway. The reopening will also depend on what we find through our investigations. Once all the investigations and evidence recordings are complete and access to the site by public is no longer an issue for continuity and evidence, and the C&D site has been extinguished, and emergency vehicles are no longer located on the highway, we will be in the position to consider further reopening. Reopening of the highway to everyone can only begin once there are more safety, or there are no more safety or investigative concerns. I appreciate this sounds like it may take some time, but I assure you we are working as quickly as possible to ensure that any public safety concerns have been addressed. Finally, I want to touch on how we are working to support our municipal partners with the reentry plans. In Shelburne and Barrington, as we move through our phased investigations, we'll release sections of the evacuated zones back to municipalities so that they can initiate their reentry process. In Halifax Regional Municipality, we have designated Halifax Fire and Emergency to do this work. Thanks, Heather. Back to you.
Thank you for that, Jamie. Now we'll move on to questions from media. We'll stick with our one question, one follow-up format in the time that we have available, starting with CTV's Sarah Plowman. Go ahead, Sarah.
Thanks very much. I just wanted to clarify some math around the structures number. I heard you say 60 homes and 150 structures in total. Of the 60, are any cottages? Is it 60 homes and cottages, or is it just 60 primary homes? Or did I get that number right?
Yeah. Thank you, Sarah, for that. 60 dwelling units. It wouldn't be 2 DNRs per field to understand what those dwellings would be, whether they're residential or cottages, but and the rest of those could be outbuildings such as garages or sheds or what have you. But this is a traumatic number. We knew that there was going to be loss, and I can't send enough simply to the families affected. And as they work along with the fire marshal's office, the local EMOs, and the municipalities, to get that information out. I know they're putting a plan in place right now. Just prior to coming on the air, I spoke briefly with Warden Penny Smith, and this is understood that this has to be a timely consideration to get this information out. But I can't stress enough, we're all here to support you through this hard time. All of our partners at the table, and we want to make this as easy as a conversation as possible with our stakeholders.
Go ahead with your follow-up, Sarah.
Thank you. I'm also just hoping, people were talking about the CND site. I understand that's a landfill. Is the concern for reopening Highway 103, or obviously you mentioned, an investigation, the need to sort of restore evidence, but is there also still a fire there? Could you give us just a little bit more details of what you're seeing on the ground there today?
Who wants to take that question?
I have my operations lead, Deputy Fire Marshal Scott Burgess.
Good afternoon. There is still currently a fire at the C&D site in Barrington. Our operations have multiple fire engines, at least 6 pieces of heavy equipment, an aerial ladder, and many firefighters. That operation is making headway each day. Having experience with fighting landfill fires myself and the crew that is there, headway is a good thing, and we anticipate gaining more ground each day. So at this point, I can't say this contained or out, but we'll update you probably daily to let you know the status of that fire.
Thank you. Moving along to CBC's Blair Rhodes. Go ahead, Blair.
Hi, I'd like to follow up on the last question about the garbage dump. Are there any concerns about air quality given the sort of materials that can burn in a dump like that?
Would that be more of a question for Bob Robichaud? I am not sure.
Or perhaps the fire marshals could tackle it. I'm just trying to get a handle on what this dump is emitting as opposed to wildfires burning trees.
Scott, you going to take a stab at that?
Yep, I can. So yes, it is still smoking, and there are unknown things in that fire for sure. Every firefighter on the ground should be wearing SCBA equipment if required. Basically, as we fight the fire, the smoke will diminish. So as we turn the products over, when we soak them down, the smoking will diminish each and every day. Department of Environment, I believe, is in contact with some of the incident commanders. So it's going to diminish each day this week, hopefully towards the end of the week.
Thank you, Scott. Blair, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, again, for the fire marshal, I realize the investigation is still in the preliminary stages, but is there any expectation that criminal charges will result from the investigations into either the Barrington Lake Fire or the one in Tantallon?
We're not there yet, but we are working with our partners in police on those matters.
Thank you. Moving along, we'll go to the Halifax Examiner, Tim Bousquet.
Hi, good afternoon. Just a quick question for Erica Fleck. 4,100 people still evacuated. The Canada Games Center is closed. Do you know where these people are staying?
We do know that the majority of people are staying with family and friends, and that there are still quite a large number in hotel rooms. But what we do know is that there are only, I believe it's 5 people that required accommodations through the Red Cross, and they have been placed in hotels as well.
Go ahead with your follow-up, Tim.
Yeah, just as we're kind of hopefully settling down here, do you have any indication of what kind of numbers of people were kept in the evacuation centers versus hotels versus being with friends and relatives?
So the only number I can give you is that our highest number in the evacuation center during the week that they were there was 21. And again, all of those people except for 5 have now gone home.
Great, thank you.
Moving along, we'll go to Radio Canada, Adrienne Blanc. Go ahead, Adrienne.
Good afternoon. A question for Bob Robichaud. What about the weather forecast today? Est-ce que c'est toujours aussi favorable pour lutter contre les feux de forêt?
Oui, merci, Adrien. Oui, on voit encore des averses dans la région du sud-ouest de la Nouvelle-Écosse aujourd'hui. Ça va se poursuivre en soirée. Progressivement, au cours du reste de la semaine, on devrait avoir de moins en moins de précipitations. Il faut préciser que la région de Shelburne a déjà eu 103 mm de pluie et jusqu'à 160 mm de pluie dans les régions nord, donc juste au nord de Liverpool et dans la région de Kejib aussi. Donc, énormément de pluie durant les derniers jours, donc ça va aider énormément.
And your follow-up, Adrian?
Yes. On entendait un pompier dire qu'il y a des problèmes de visibilité, que ça gêne le déplacement des hélicoptères. Qu'est-ce que vous pouvez nous dire à ce sujet?
Oui, ça devrait s'améliorer. C'est tout à fait normal de voir pas juste des visibilités réduites, mais aussi des plafonds bas associés avec un système dépressionnaire comme qu'on a vu durant les derniers jours. Mais au fur et à mesure que le système se déplace vers le nord et s'affaiblit, on devrait avoir une amélioration dans les plafonds, donc la hauteur des nuages et aussi la visibilité.
Thank you, Bob. We'll go now to Canadian Press, Marlo Glass. Go ahead, Marlo.
Yes, hi. I'm not sure who would be best to answer this question. Perhaps someone from the municipalities. Just looking for any more information about the modular homes, which were mentioned yesterday as a possible temporary solution for people who have lost their homes.
I can try to answer that question. We did have a conversation with the province regarding modular homes, and we're still really in the beginning, I guess, stages of trying to come up with a proper housing strategy for the municipality of Shelburne. It's one that we're working on for the last year. So at this point, there really isn't a lot to say about it, but just to say that we are exploring all options at this point.
Go ahead with your follow-up, Marlo.
Is there an idea, like a general, I guess, early count of how many people would be in need of this temporary housing?
I really don't have a number at this time because I haven't seen any type of assessment numbers. We're still waiting for that list to come forward.
Great, thank you.
And we'll conclude today's media update with questions from Acadia Broadcasting with Joe Thompson. Go ahead, Joe.
Hi there. My question's for the fire marshal. I'm wondering, what has the last week and a half been like for you, having to collaborate with the different organizations to oversee the different wildfires taking place across the province?
Everything's been flowing very good. The cooperation between all our partner agencies, the public, the municipalities, it's been really, really good.
Do you have a follow-up, Joe?
Yeah, I guess I'm just also wondering if you can elaborate a bit on, like, since Sunday when we first started hearing reports about the fire starting, what it's been like in terms of a workload for you having to handle everything that's come since.
I'm going to ask my operations lead to speak on that. He's been working in the provincial command center right from the start.
So here in the PCC, I was in last Monday morning and been here ever since, other than a few hours each night. Our people on the ground have been in complete communication with us during that whole period. The assistant fire marshal and myself have been doing hourly updates. We have built relationships with teams that we've never dealt with in the past. The relationships and the willingness to help is unheard of. I've never seen something to this degree, the amount of resources and cooperation on both fires.
Thanks for that, Scott. Well, that concludes today's wildfire update. I want to thank all of our participants once again for joining us. And I also want to thank all the Nova Scotians who've made time in their schedules to join us online and on the radio to listen. Thank you very much, and stay safe out there.